Good morning, my beloved students, and welcome back to our beautiful community here. So, tell me a little bit, how are you? What are you doing? What are you up to these days? Tell me a little bit about you. Now, are you ready to start with today's class? Perfect. In this class, as you can see, we're going to be talking about what do we call superlative adjectives. So, if you remember, in the previous video, we talked about what do we call comparative adjectives. In this class, we're going to identify what is an adjective and what is the meaning of superlative adjectives. So, are you ready to start? Perfect. So let's start directly with today's class. Now, first of all, kids, if you remember, if I ask you, what is an adjective? An adjective or adjectives, they are describing words, right? So they tell us more about the nouns around us. We can tell about their sizes, their colors, their shapes. We can talk about our feelings. So adjectives, they are describing words. We use them to describe different nouns around us. Like, for example, fantastic, young, big, cool, wonderful, simple, modern, blue, red. All these, they are different examples for different adjectives. So what is an adjective? Adjectives, they are describing words. They tell what the noun is like. Now, usually we can describe different things which are related to our five senses, right? Usually we can smell things flowery, stinky, smelly, beautiful. We can taste things cold, hot, juicy, salty, delicious, spicy, sweet, sour. We can see things beautiful, ugly, tall, bright, short. We can hear noisy, loud, quiet, melodic sounds, and we can touch things soft, hard, rough, and so on. So what is an adjective? You need to keep in your mind that adjectives are describing words. We use them to describe different nouns around us. Now, according to the superlative adjectives. Now, first of all, if you remember, we used the comparative adjective to compare between two things. Like, for example, Ahmed is shorter than Ali. We took a specific adjective to compare between two people, two places, for example, two animals. This is the comparative from the word compare. But when we are talking about the superlative adjectives, we use the superlative form of adjectives to show that something or someone is at the top of a group. He is the super. Always relate to superlative with super. He is the super one who has this adjective, for example. It is necessary to use that before a superlative adjective. So, for example, look at this picture. We have fat, this is the adjective. If I want to compare, it's going to be fatter. The superlative, the fattest. This kid is the fattest kid between these kids, okay? So he is the super. He is at the top of the group. For example, short, this is the adjective. For example, Layla is shorter than for example, Ahmed, while Umar is the shortest. He is at the top. He's the shortest one. For example, strong. Ali is stronger than Ahmed, while, for example, Adam is the strongest. He is at the top of the group. Okay? Now, there are many ways of how can we form superlative adjectives. The first and the most important thing we need to do, we need to identify how many syllables do we have in the adjective. Usually we know how many syllables do we have in the word by clapping the adjective. For example, wonderful, wonderful. 3 syllables we have in this adjective. So the first thing that you need to do is identify the syllables of the adjective that you have. Now, if we have a 1-syllable adjective, for most adjectives to form the superlative adjective, we add est. For example, smart, smartest. Ahmed is the smartest kid in the class, for example. Fast, fastest. For example, Ahmed is the fastest kid in his class. He's at the top. If the adjectives end with E, we only add st. Nice, nicest. Safe, safest. Okay? If the adjective ends with a vowel and consonant, we double the last consonant, then we add est. For example, fattest, biggest. Our school is the biggest one in our neighborhood, for example. So, sad, for example, Layla is sadder than Hiba. For example, Ahmed is the saddest kid. He's at the top. For example, fat, fatter, fattest, and short, shorter, shortest at the top of this group. Fast, faster, fastest. Airplanes are the fastest transportation method in the world, for example. Okay? Now, if we have 2-syllable adjectives, usually we add most for most adjectives. For example, most pleasant. If the adjective ends with le or ow, we add st or est, simplest. If the adjectives end with y, we cross out the y, we add I, E, S, T. For example, happy, happiest, shiny, shiniest. Ahmed is the happiest, for example, in his class. Now, if we have 3 or more syllable adjectives, we add most. For example, the most colorful, the most delicious, the most expensive. This is if the adjective is 3 or more syllable adjective. Now, we have some irregular adjectives, which means they don't accept the st or the est, or most. So for these adjectives, we need to change the whole adjective in order to form the superlative adjective. For example, good, it will be the best. Adam is the best in his class. Far, farthest. Bad, the worst. For example, this movie is the worst ever at the top of its group. For example, let's take a look at this picture. If I want to compare and make the superlative adjective between these 3 pictures, the tower is older than Big Ben, right? While the pyramids are older than the tower, so the pyramids are the oldest between this group. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to use superlative adjectives in different sentences. Thank you so much and see you soon.